personal financial literacy, but not in the way that you have known. This is not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30 plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from, let's say about a 30,000 foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have any questions, please email Bill at Billhaase, that's Bill at BillHaase.com, or reach out to him right here at 216thenet@gmail.com. Welcome in, and of course, a different approach to business with DCCS founder Bill. How are you, brother?
Morning, Ken. How you doing?
I am well, sir. Thank you.
Hey, it took 15 tries, but the Bears finally won.
Hey, almost a year, right? It's a good Friday morning.
Yeah. They might win, 3 or 4 this year.
Maybe.
Well,
Don't hold your breath.
We'll see about that. And now that the season's changed, also, we just went from beautiful weather to now it's getting chilly.
Yeah. Fall came in quick, didn't it?
Fall came in quick, and reality's setting in for cozy down for a long winter.
That's it. Here in the Midwest.
But
the squirrels have been busy.
The squirrels have been incredibly busy, which scaring me.
That's right. That's right.
I'm glad I have 2 snowblowers. I think it's going to be a rough year, but anyway, let's get Drew in on this. Drew's a good friend of mine for many years. He is the owner of DCCS. We're sitting here today. We want to talk a little bit about this. This is a new subject going around the country. I'm involved going down to Dallas in a couple of weeks for a conversation about this, doing business a different way. And this is very important because, we're coming into some we've been in difficult economic times, but it's getting worse. Yeah. And the predictions going forward are not pretty.
Yeah. If you shake up the old 8 ball, it says outlook not good.
Yeah, it does. The only thing I think that's helping us out is there's so many people on the bandwagon that they think the market's going to tank. And typically the markets will react the opposite direction. When so many people look in one direction, the markets, like I've always said, the markets will trade in the direction that creates the greatest amount of pain. Right. So that would be up. Yeah. Right now with everybody playing shorts. But Drew, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Let's
appreciate
talk about, how important is it to understand you need to learn to do business a different way?
Well, I think COVID kind of changed the space of how people think a little bit. When things went remote, it kind of took away from that control of an employer that, I don't want to use the word tyranny, but it is. Listen, I pay your these words, right? These are the key words. I pay your check. Okay, well, I create a service. That's a mutual agreement, right? But for a long time, it wasn't viewed that way. It was, I'm going to stand over your shoulder and make sure you're working. Well, a lot of times that's a lot of I'm working, right? The world today needs to understand that if you're going to be a success, you have to learn to adapt to every environment, and the world is changing.
It is.
And, listen, at our age, it's not our world anymore. It's a new world. You might not agree with the new generation and how they think, but you have to adapt to it because we don't own it.
Exactly.
It's theirs. Exactly. And so in order to move forward, the biggest thing you have to own is a mirror. You have to take a look at yourself as a person in order to say, okay, what changes do I need to make in order to make my business a success? And if a good example, the world today, everybody's lazy. Nobody wants to work. We have all these jobs, but nobody wants to work. No, they just don't want to work for you.
Yeah, right.
And why is that? Why is your turnover high?
The great resignation, right?
100%. People don't quit jobs; they quit bosses and managers, right? Yep. And if you learn how to adapt, you have to adapt to every personality. And if you're on top of the ladder, that means that you put faith into your hiring system. And by doing that, it doesn't matter if you're getting a salary and you're working a 4 or 5 hour day. but you're getting everything done and your employer's taking good care of you, why would you not give 110%?
Well, true. Yeah.
Right?
Right.
In order
No,
for that to be a
I
success.
totally agree. I mean, I can go back to the days when I worked for a Fortune 50 bank, and I made the mistake of asking, why are we doing this now? Why are we making this change? What's going on? And they looked at me and said, you don't need to know why.
Mm.
You're paid to do a job. Go do your job.
Right.
And I just sat there and go, oh boy, this is not going to work out. I'm not going to last long here.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not that kind of person, but many people are.
Right.
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 But you're right. And now let me play devil's advocate. I'm a business owner and I'm wearing 150 hats already.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to deal with this. I got to foresee changes and make adjustments and things. And it's like, yeah. I mean, I know you have a business plan. A business plan is not set in stone. It's a living document.
It's a guideline.
It's a guideline, but you have to keep on top of that because things change, right?
Correct.
But here's another problem we have. Most business owners, or even people high up on the ladder, let's say, aren't given leadership skills. They aren't taught it.
No, they're not.
And most people get thrust into positions where they're like, I've never managed people before. Now I'm managing people, and how do I do that?
Mm.
And we fall back on our personalities, and the problems we run into there are you have good days and bad days like anybody else. If you just had a big argument with your spouse and you come into work and you're pissed off, it's going to show.
You're carrying that in. Yeah. And then that spreads like cancer.
Or you have employees that are coming in that way. You got to adapt, learn how to deal with people, and learn is the big word here.
Correct.
So, a lot of business owners think that they have to do everything themselves, and they can't.
Well, so let's go back to that. So business owners, when you start as a bootstrap company, you're wearing all the hats, right?
Yeah.
And that's because you wanted to be a business owner. That was a choice you decided to do. As you grow that foundation, and when I say grow that foundation, that means you need to create a structure that can hold X amount of business, X amount of volume. And then you learn, we'll call it the hard knocks way a little bit about certain things that were you couldn't see the future to it. It just wasn't there. All of a sudden it happens. Well, it cost you a little money, but that was also an education on what not to do. I think mostly you're going to wear all the hats no matter what. A true business owner should be able to sit down at anybody's desk and be able to do their job. You need to know how it works in order to streamline that process. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk. We're out of the bootstrap company. We're in the mom and pop, right? We're growing a little bit, not quite SMB market, but we're looking to get to that, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going to call it the pop can. The pop can sits there and it's an empty pop can, and we put a small rock on it. Now we got volume of business, right? Mm-hmm. Well, 9 times out of 10, the big focus is sales. We want revenue. We want revenue.
Right.
No, we're going to put a boulder on that empty pop can. What happens? It crushes the structure, right? You have to plan, grow, organize organically for the long game. When you do that you start filling that can with pebbles. Now you got a little more strength to the can that holds your structure, right?
Build the foundation.
Once you grow, you adapt, you strengthen, then you can grow again. Most people force growth because a lot of companies, for some reason in their head, what they want to do is they want to grow to be this enterprise right away. And then we're going to sell the VC, and then we're going to take that money, put it in our bank, and then we can live happy ever after. I wish I could tell you that was how it really works, but that's how you destroy an organization.
Well, you brought up the good point. Building the strong foundation. We had Joe Rojas on the show talking about the 5 pillars of building a strong foundation. So important, so commonly overlooked. I want to go all the way back to the beginning when you brought up faith, hiring people in faith. I believe in that. I believe you hire people to buy into what you're trying to do as a business owner, as a business for your service, your product, or whatever. You want people that are working for you are buying into that, and then let them do what they do. Micromanaging doesn't work.
No.
Sure, there are people out there that probably need that to some extent, but those are probably people you don't really need in your organization.
But that's why you have an educational process.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
there's
that
a
helps.
training education. The one thing you can't teach is loyalty.
Yeah.
That is something that you have to find. You have to find the right fit for the right chair.
Yep.
And then
Right.
from there, if that personality and that passion sticks, you can train them to do anything. And then they will stick with you and they will run with it. You're going to have your good days, your bad days. That's why it's called a JOB and not happy fun time, because everybody can do it. Right. But if you figure in the long haul that you put the right people in the right spots, give them the right training and trust. I want to say the biggest poisons are ego and trust.
I know ego's poison.
Yeah. So those are the two things that just start destroying. And I'm sorry, greed. Let's not forget about that. Right.
Goes with ego.
So Dynamic Conversion Consulting Services is my organization, DCCS for sure, because it's a long mouthful, right? We're an organization that helps level up other organizations. We're basically in a broker space. And we're able to do anything from real estate to insurance, technology, human resource, talent management, academy, and media, anything and everything in business. And what we do is we do a handoff to the back end of professionals that are able to service any need to any client. And then we take that legwork away from our clients in order to find, based on cost analysis, of what they need. So if you need real estate, you're a bootstrap company, we'll find your location if that's what you want to do. If you're not a remote company, then we'll insure it. We'll put bodies in chairs. We'll insure them. We'll get all your technology, your internet, your web design, your voice over IP or IT solutions,
marketing, branding,
100% of everything.
I know some of the people you work with are phenomenal people.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, it's a vetted network.
Yeah, they're outstanding.
And they work globally. So, you're looking at your department and you're saying, in my organization, I'm going to hire this guy at $100,000 a year. And we're going to overload him with all this stuff. Right.
Yeah.
Well, 9 times out of 10, that guy gets burned out, becomes complacent, and just wants to collect a check. He doesn't care anymore. Right. And also the fact that if you keep adding things without adding compensation to it,
it's done all the time.
100%.
I mean, they throw titles around like instead of money.
Well,
checks, right?
So titles are for children. You know what I mean? There's 2 titles that matter: doers and non-doers. Doers are the ones that you want in your organization, and they get to learn. Now, you might have an employee that doesn't fit the bill, or maybe is tainted on your organization, and they're out there and they're bad mouthing your organization behind your back, or whatever the case may be. What's the first thing that comes to your mind as a business owner? We need to get rid of this guy.
Oh yeah,
or girl, right? And so instead of doing that, why don't you prove to them that you're willing to change? Give them the proper training. Show them that you care about them.
Right.
Change the employee. Change their mindset, because then the other employees around them go, wow, this is awesome. This is going to be great.
Were you on Undercover Boss last week?
No, I wasn't.
The first and only time I've ever watched that show. That's exactly what happened. Was they had a bad employee. The president, when he confronted the young man's like, oh my God, I'm so out of a job because of the things I said and everything. And the boss said, no, actually, you're young. You're a little bit misled. We're going to give you an opportunity. We're going to help educate you.
Yep.
We're going to help you understand proper language, business language, and proper actions and stuff like that. And the guy was so relieved. He's like, I will do everything. If you're willing to show your support,
take that
for me,
step. Sure.
I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that this is successful and works for me. Because a lot of times people just give up.
Well, they do. Toxicity is big in any space that you work out of, and you get one that's toxic, and it spreads.
It's called the Claypool.
Yes, it is called the Claypool. You can be the one that adjusts that and changes that. But in order to do that, you have to adapt to change. You have to accept it. You have to let go of the ego. I'll give you a situation that happened to me not too long ago. I was in an organization and I wanted to help my community, and this organization was about helping the community. And the more I was there, the more I realized it wasn't really about helping the community.
Mhm.
They were just all sitting on top of it, and they wanted to be known for helping the community, so they could put that little arsenal in their
Yeah.
tool belt,
Feather in their cap.
right? And it turned out I've said this on other shows before, but when I said I'm here to help as many people as possible, they were like, "Don't worry about helping people. Worry about bringing in the numbers."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I think you're misconstrued because if I help 10, I get 20."
Yeah. Right.
And that didn't seem to click because it wasn't their idea. And I started hearing terminology coming out of their mouth like, "Well, I don't know if you know this, I'm a big deal."
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, wow. That's real important. It's nice to be important, right? But it's more important to be nice. And if you can utilize that skill set, that mindset in order to build your organization, you won't have a turnover, and you won't see people as being lazy. People want an opportunity to live life, and business is just part of it. And if we can, if you can find a way to make whatever space you work out of, a place to where people can go to, and even in your interview process, and I tell people all the time when they go to the interview, the first thing that should come out of your mouth in an interview process is, "Why should I work here?"
Right. Right.
Not you turn that around.
Not try to be the person you think they
Correct.
want.
It has to be a mutual.
Yeah.
There has to be a mutual. If you were an organization that had nothing by my organization has a lot of contractors in it, 1099s, right?
Yeah.
And so it gives them the freedom to do whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's benefit packages. Even though we sell insurance, we're able to go out and do the legwork for our agents.
Yeah.
And not only can they pick the insurance policy that they want, we let them sell it to themselves so they make a commission off themselves to put towards the policy.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's huge. Revenue share is huge. If you don't look at revenue share, and if you're greedy, you don't want to share.
Well, you're UAW.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we're
100%.
talking about
Yep.
here. That's a big
Yep.
problem with the top guys getting 40% raise increases per year, and the bottom guys are getting 2%.
Well, listen, if you have a $50 to $500 million organization and your employees aren't getting raises or bonuses, there's a problem. You know, and then thought process on that is, well, we'll just replace someone who would want the job to work cheaper, but that loyalty goes away, and then damage starts happening because some people get vindictive.
It goes back to like selling by price. If you're going to sell by price, you're never going to have a client for life.
Right.
You know, because clients are always looking for the best price, not the best quality product or service or anything. And I agree with you. I mean, you know, egos. I come from the land of the biggest egos around. I did 20 years in the trading pits.
Yeah.
Trust me, they don't get bigger than that.
No,
and
that's pretty up there. Yeah.
And you know, but one of the benefits,
it's a lot of whiskey and cocaine waiting to happen.
No, it wasn't that much whiskey. but you know, dealing with big egos can be very challenging. But one of the benefits of getting older, like I am, you can lose the ego because you don't care about the title anymore. You don't. It's not about the money. It's not about the title. It's about the work, because you really don't care what other people think. And you know, when you're younger and you have that ego and you want that title, you're more concerned about what other people think about you, and that's a waste of time.
It is a waste of time.
It's a waste.
There's no value to it.
There's no value to it. I mean, just because you have a big ego typically tells me you're hiding an insecurity somewhere.
Well, you know, there was a saying that was, when you talk about yourself as you might be good, but when other people talk about you, you're great. That's difference, right?
Yeah.
If you focus on, it's just like a marriage or a relationship. If you focus on the other, you will be handled. You will be taken care of because you're going to focus on you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of fear in that. You invest. I mean, you know what it's like. You've owned several businesses. You dump in so much money, and you're like, man, this is how I feed my family. That's the big speech.
Yeah.
And then you hire somebody, you're like, this is how I feed my family, and they're like, yeah, this is how I want to feed my family too. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But if you create that mutual, and you talk to them on an eye level base, first looking down upon them, and then give them all the right tools. And it doesn't matter if you're in an office building environment or not. If they're doing the job, benefit them let them know they're doing a good job, and then show others that that's what you do.
Yeah,
it'll definitely gain success. Your success rate will go through the roof. It's a proven fact.
Well, staying in touch with employees at all different levels, and I don't really necessarily care for the word employee. I like to call people that I would hire on as contributors.
We're
all contributors.
Yep.
So we can get rid of titles and just say we're contributors. You have to have a hierarchy. I get that, because somebody has to be responsible for decisions. But
accountability,
and then accountability, right? But letting people know they're contributors, and that's a different mindset. Somebody's more willing to work that way. But you have to stay in touch with what's going on inside your company, because so many times a lot of times nowadays it's the IT that's so far behind, and you never know about it. Maybe your point of sale system is bogging you down, because you can't do inventory and sales in the shop, and it's all discombobulated because the system's out of whack or the system's old.
Well, our IT side of things for DCCS, what we do is and this is the big fear we hear all the time, because we deal with a lot of MSPs. They come in, they manage service it's a third party system, right, to an organization that takes a lot of that pain pressure off and accountability off for securities and stuff like that. But their IT department gets scared because they're like, we're being replaced. Not necessarily true.
Yeah, right.
Someone still needs to communicate between the both parties. Now, if I told you that on the security end of things, if you're doing business overseas and you don't have your GDPR lined up right, and there's fines to those compliance issues, right?
Yep.
Those fines equal a lot more than what you could pay an MSP to do. And if those don't match what the MSP is responsible for, that, not you. It falls on them, not you. So you're taking those pain points away. Your IT person delegates and manages through them. And a lot of these MSPs, what they do is they say, hey, we'll work a la carte just so you get comfortable. We can manage your deployment of your systems, your phone systems, your mobility, your data centers. If you want to get put into a data center, we do a lot of that too. And so now you're actually building that structure. Everything's virtual for the most part. Everybody's working online. So what is the cost of business if you lose your data, right? So I don't want to spend, I don't have that in my budget. What does it cost? Right.
Out in Vegas, right?
Right,
they
right,
just
right.
got hacked and they had to pay millions of dollars in order to get their information.
That's right. That's right. What's your data value?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so, organizations need to learn that, number one, the structure that you put together when you started might need to change. That doesn't mean, people, the funny thing is too, is when they think the word change, they're like, well, we need a better database.
But we don't like
change.
Well,
and then nobody likes change, but change is a must, right? But they think they need a database to manage things better. Well, not necessarily, because now you got like 7 pieces of software that are trying to communicate.
Right.
And then lose. You're stacking them. Now one employee is doing 17 times more work. It's not helping. You're not streamlining. You want to streamline.
Yeah.
You might need to scale back all the way to the beginning. And remember, as a business owner, the thing you used to think about most is sales, revenue. Don't think about it that way. You have to start from the beginning. Where does our organization start? Onboarding, right? You go to onboarding, then it goes into workload, marketing, sales, all the way to invoicing, accounts receivable, account payable, right? Yeah. So if you have to follow that process from beginning to end to find out how your streamlining process digitally will work for you. Will that eliminate
jobs?
Where
owners get in trouble though, because they stack it, right? And then all of a sudden the system can't handle it anymore, or the systems can't talk to each other anymore. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong. We had Amanda Russo on the show. She's a map processor, and that's what she does, and goes in and helps clean that stuff up.
Yeah, Amanda's awesome.
And so you need to front run and foresee. And I know that's challenging, right? When you say front run, foresee, well, I don't know everything. You're right, you don't. And it's a good lesson to learn that you don't. That it's okay to get help from others and professionals. Come to somebody like DCCS. Who can sit here and look at a whole big picture, from the 30,000-foot level, as we like to say, and get a much clearer idea, because we talked about this just before the show, Drew. Companies in this economic environment and going forward need to learn to be more efficient because the costs are so high, right? Labor costs keep going up. Insurance is going up. Buying anything is going up.
Okay, let me put it in here for a second. I love the word efficient. That means I lay people off.
That's
right?
the
I mean,
process.
if we're talking about a different approach to business, let's be honest. Most of the people who understand business go, "Hey, what's your biggest expense?" And we got to be more efficient. Efficiency means less cost. That means less people.
Well, and the problem with that is you put pressure on the people that are still there that have to pick up that work, right?
Right.
Does it? No, doesn't matter. We're more efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Just look at our bottom line. That's what's
so when you're speaking of businesses need to be more efficient, is that what you're saying? We got to fire people.
Oh no, of course, I'm not saying that at all. When I say more efficient means you have to understand your business and fine tune it.
Yeah.
Right. In every aspect, because we don't do our homework.
Yeah.
In general,
that's based on complacency.
We get complacent.
Yep.
We don't do our homework. We just figure I can afford it. I'll pay for it. Or, what drives people to really learn on their own is when you can't afford to do anything for yourself. And for me growing up, I learned how to repair my cars. I learned how to do plumbing, electrical, because it was so much cheaper than hiring somebody. Right. But people don't do that anymore. We don't get on that wonderful tool called Google or YouTube.
Right.
And look things up for ourselves to see whether or not we're getting a good deal. We could go for stories on that one, but
I did that with open heart surgery. It didn't go so well.
Right.
Well, I'm kidding. I really didn't.
I mean, we just tend to believe whatever that one person tells us out there. And we had Steve Schwartz on the show from Herzog Hospital over in Jerusalem. And he pointed out the fact that it's almost like 50% of diagnosis on mental issues are incorrect in the U.S.
Right.
50%
in the United States. Yeah.
So I just learned a friend of mine said that they believe their doctor said that they think they may have Parkinson's. So, I said, go talk to another doctor, because you don't have a solid foundation. Compare.
Right.
Yeah.
Different points of view.
So at DCCS, you decided to break the mold of brick and mortar of everybody sit in your cubicles and pop your heads up over the cubicles and stand by the water cooler and complain about your boss. Why? I mean, you're a guy in your past that ran a staffing agency and you had 600 some people. And so you've been to the holy land of what a business looks like.
Yeah. Right? Well, it was a lot of watching what not to do. And then living the life of that stress. There was a day where I was like, what is the cost of a stroke? What is it worth to me to keep doing this until I stroke out and not enjoy anything of why I visit on this blueberry? I mean, what's the point of it? So getting out of the toxic space was important. I had to build DCCS at the same time as being there, obviously, just like any starving artist. And it took me lots of failures with my business, my organization, because it's such a new concept.
Failures are stepping stones to success.
It's education.
Yep.
But, as in entrepreneur life, it's easy to get beat up and want to quit. You got people in your life being like, why don't you just get that job? Why do you gotta, you should, you're not making any money yet. And well, it's like, okay, so this is what I want to do. Now I get to do what I want to do. And that's help others. And by doing that, at the cost of a cell phone bill, that's how I run my organization for the last 8 years on a cell phone bill, because we sit in a brokerage space. I am not the professional that will come in and install your IT, but I have the vetted network that will, based on your cost and your budget. One of the main things that I found working in a regular organization that became a toxic space was nobody in each department gave two shits about what they did. Yeah. They just wanted to get their money, and go home. And then the owners of the business were like, we need to gain revenue. And I said, well, if somebody gave a shit about what they did, you would find that they would be shopping things out on your fixed costs in that department and streamlining at the same time. Your bottom line would increase naturally.
Yeah.
And so we put together in this space. When I started, I had a license for insurance and I was in technology. So at the same time, so I was like, well, why settle? Why not every aspect of business, build a great network that can be a handoff, and then you make residuals, right? By helping people. So my cost to my clients is zero.
Yeah.
I do this legwork for nothing. Now, mind you, if you don't use anybody in my network, you'll get a consulting invoice.
Okay.
Because it's still business. That's data that I have given you.
Right.
That's still valuable. And if you come back, I won't hit you on that invoice again. But if you use anybody out of my network, yeah, you call me when that contract's up and we'll shop it again.
Right.
If you go into, I noticed that, well, we pay X amount of dollars with this internet company. I'm not going to throw out names with this internet company. Right. But we're on like T-Circuits. This is the oldest, internet. You might as well be on dial-up. And I came to you and I said, well, I can tell you this, you could pay 30 to 40% less for faster internet, but you're locked into that contract because nobody looked at it.
You're still with the,
you
got mail.
Right.
Right.
AOL, please. And so when you're able to make these changes, and so what I do is I go to my vetted network, it's under my umbrella. I put out several different options. I have a primary that we usually have a go-to, but I want to always give options to my clients. And I point them out. This is this, and this is better for this, and this is based on your cost analysis and what we can do for that. Now, if you want to go with this one, but you're looking at a new phone system, this is going to save you the money to reallocate the savings to get this over here. So it's a lot involved, but it ties off.
The hard part for you must be, because I ran into this all the time as a financial advisor, was having a client that understood the processes and what they need and what they want. Because business owners, entrepreneurs, we have a concept that we try to bring to market and work to bring to market, but that doesn't mean we know anything about branding, marketing, web design, logo design, insurance, employment lawyers and HR and all the different things that go with a business, accounts receivable, all this stuff. Most business owners don't even understand their financials. They know the one main sheet. It says, here's where I started, here's what I took in, here's what I paid out, and here's what's left over.
Well, in order to talk turkey, to get anybody to understand, you have to hit that keyword that strikes their interest, and it's usually money. Right. So if I sit down with anybody, and listen, I'm not a salesman, I'm a relationship builder. So what I usually do is I sit down and I build a relationship with somebody that want to take the time to sit down and have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
And if they're like, well, yeah, we're looking to push more revenue this year. And I was like, what if I told you I can save you 40% across the board on your fixed cost to increase your revenue and streamline the process for your business with no consulting fee involved? Well, they usually go, tell me more about that.
I'll be honest with you. There's a number of consultants out there that says, I can have one conversation with you and I'm going to show you, I'm going to save you 10 grand or 100 grand.
Sure.
And it's a system.
There's always a system.
Yeah. And so when somebody comes up to me and says, you want to learn how to save 40% on your business, I'm going to see you go, really?
Well, and so it's real simple. It's not going to cost you a dime to have a conversation about it and for me to show you bids on it from professionals.
And I'm playing devil's advocate. Okay.
Yeah.
So devil's advocate, I'm saying, okay, then it probably isn't worth anything because it doesn't cost me anything.
I've gotten that where it's like, it's usually people want to be charged to show that
they tend to buy in.
Correct.
The old school thinking is in sales and especially in financial advising is, do I charge a fee for consultation or do I not?
Yep.
If I don't, the old school thinking was they won't find it valuable or the client won't act upon anything.
So in turn,
do I charge a big fee?
In turn for that, I usually go, Not a problem. You do whatever it is that you do best, but here are a few referrals from larger organizations that utilized me, and this is what I did for them.
Yeah.
You give them a call, and listen, man, no pressure. When you're ready, I'm here, regardless.
Yeah. No, I know you're good about that, and not too pushy in sales, because we know that the people who really push hard in sales, even in these networks,
It just comes off pitchy.
It comes out pitchy.
Yep.
It comes out desperate.
Yep.
You know, we talked about this with the in the chat box. You know, here's me and what I do, and you need me, and here's contact me. And instead, why don't you put up there, hey, love to have one-on-one with you. You know, maybe see how we could benefit each other mutually.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and one of the things when I started my agent program for everybody to make money with me was, you know, I had a kid in mobility that was selling for a cell company. Once again, I can't throw out names, but they during the time didn't have the voice over phone system, right?
Okay.
And now they do. But I got a phone call, and this kid was like, "Hey man, you still doing that thing where I can make some money with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's called a commission." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'll send you the agent paperwork. It'll show you percentages and everything else, and then you know now you never have to say no." So most of my agents have full-time jobs in sales doing something, and if they ever get asked the question, they never have to say no. They go, "Absolutely, we do that. We turn it over to our partnerships. Let you talk to Drew." I talk to them. I get them involved. They had a 5-minute conversation. The deal is closed for my back end, the professionals that do the job, and then they just a monthly residual. Then now they make an extra money for something that they don't deal with. It doesn't burn a bridge with their own business or the company they work for. So that's
and the point is,
and it's a revenue share.
The point is to help them to understand how to make more money. Right?
And the more you get on that platform,
the
more in volume you get.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody's talking about it.
And like you said, it can all happen from a 5-minute conversation.
That's it.
That's what's crazy.
Yep.
You know, we had Laura Di Benedetto on our show. She's got an ammo business.
That's right.
In Florida.
Ammunition. Yep.
An amazing young lady. Love her to death. I did an introduction. I had met a young man at a friend's party, and he owned 2 gun shops and shooting ranges, and he was going to build a third one. And so I put those 2 together just in an email. Turns out he winds up signing a contract with her, and she's going to supply him the ammo and stuff. He works a lot with ex-Navy SEAL guys, and she's got the right load and everything. And she comes to me and just says, you know, this is just incredible. We get this. What can I do for you? I said, nothing. And she couldn't understand that. I said, it's okay to receive, because I know you give all the time. Now you know what it feels like to receive. I said, but all I did was write an email. 5 minutes.
Yep.
And business is done.
That's it. That's it. Referral.
Yeah.
And doing it out of the kindness of your heart too builds that relationship with Laura even more.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then if anything ever happens for what you do for a living, why would she go outside of you?
Oh, exactly.
And not toss something back?
Exactly.
You know, people pay big money to be in these networking groups that are referred back and forth for referrals. And this guy hasn't referred us lately. So, you know, and when I started hearing stuff like that, I was like, with my platform, I'm like, listen, if you bring me business and we make money together, great. If you don't, I don't lose any money.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
So I'll take all the ones that aren't allowed in the groups, because someday they're going to run across a big one, and that big one is going to pay out good.
Yeah.
You know, that's
right.
just how it works.
Well, what goes around comes around. Storytelling. I mean, you run a networking group, and you're part of a team that runs a networking group that they do awesome stuff. But networking groups can get stale, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I belong to 2 older ones that I haven't gone to in a couple of years now that were smaller and everything. And it's like, okay, but nobody's ever passing business here.
Right.
All right. So nobody's doing business with each other. Nobody's passing anything around. I got nothing out of it other than knowing some good people. But,
sure.
You know, so the challenge is, you know, you need to think it's a different mindset. Networking people, they think they're out there selling their wares when you should be out there offering to help them, you know, offering to use your contacts, use your list, use your support system to help others. And it comes back tenfold. Like you
It
said.
does. It does.
Ray Ramona was on here talking. We talked about that.
Yeah. So the networking group we're talking about is SCN, it's Shared Connections Network. The other founder, Jeff Lord, myself, and then we have Chris Pry as an owner now too.
Yeah.
We built that during the COVID session. It's on Zoom and it's worldwide. You know that it comes in, people come in from Australia, Beijing, all these different places. But we did it because it's a relationship building group.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant for a pitch, but we always say, hey, in the chat, but what you do and how you do it, because you can have a one-on-one with that person. There might be a need, and then how to fill that need. And once you build those relationships out of the group, and it's vetted, because you need to know somebody in the group to get in the group. And I think our list is actually at 1,500.
Okay.
But we have a sign-in of 30 to 50 to 70 at a time, right?
Yep.
And so that is the long game. Shared Connections is the long game, because now we're putting out masterminds, and we have speakers, but now we alternate a little bit about tell us about you. We want to learn more about you, and we're throwing different things at it, and we get some, we lose some.
Yep.
But the door is always open. If once you were invited, you're always in. As other groups, they get so hold to the vest, mine. We're not like that. So we utilize Shared Connections Network as an ecosystem to what we do for a living as well.
No,
and it works.
I'm part of it.
Great.
And,
you are.
I know it does many wonderful things. It's different from pretty much any other group that I'm a part of, which not doing those as much anymore.
Well, and so getting back to what we're talking about in change of business, changing a mindset. If you're a business owner, maybe one of the first things you need to do is get out there and network more. Working in your business, we both know that's two different things. And in order to change, you need to work in your business and on your business in order to make that change happen. Yeah. But once everybody has that right mindset and that change, then you're able to scale back a little bit, work more on your business. Kent, you got something?
Just kind of going with this same flow with quote unquote referral groups and things like that. You'll notice that in a referral group, in a chamber, in a whatever, the people who are in a group pretty much look the same. So in other words, Bill, there's a lot of silver hairs. If it was in a room, it looked like a convention of Q-tips. Right, right, and in the same breath, you can look at a couple of referral groups, and there's nobody over the age of 30. Yeah, right. And so the interesting thing with these things, it gets stale. That's because you're dealing with yourself. There's not a lot of crossbreeding. There's not a lot of so that's what I think. A different approach to business is. We look, and I say we because I'm part of that silver tip group, right? Is we say, you don't get it. You're 20 years old. You listen, come and talk to me when you got 20 more years experience, and then I'll tell you, right? And then we become curmudgeon-y, and they're like, no, you don't get it. Right.
Well, it's age-old value. Right. We don't value the older people and all their experiences in life, and because we already know everything.
So here's what I love about Drew, and let me help people out the best of the way that I can. What Drew has done is back in the day, let's say the 70s, everybody was A plumbing, accounting, right, and it was listed alphabetically. So there was more AAA businesses out there than anything. Well, all of a sudden, people aren't using the telephone book so much. So then it was what I had to pay for: a full page color ad in the newspaper, or a half page, or whatever. You've got to get color. And what day was the best day?
Yeah, right.
Sunday. It had to be on the Sunday, right? Because people
sit down and go through the whole paper. Yeah.
Now, I still have the same accounting business. How does that marketing work for you today? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, and when people stop putting money into the yellow pages, now we made a cover for that book. You can be on the cover, right. So the idea is a lot of entrepreneurs haven't shifted I don't like the word pivot because you don't really move, you just turn around. They haven't shifted ways in doing business today.
Mhm.
They think they do because, hey, you know what? I've got a business page on Facebook. I've moved into the new age. I'm
Right.
social media. No, right?
Well, it goes back to the business owners' egos. The business owner that thinks he knows everything, he or she knows everything and is doing everything perfectly is the most dangerous business owner out there. They're going to fail.
Sure.
Because you don't know everything. You need help. There's nothing in life that you can do that doesn't require
We
somebody
have been
else's help.
conditioned that way. I've done
Yeah.
it. I've done it.
We have been conditioned that way
You
from
know,
early on.
I think that so like I'm mentoring this kid right now. He's a good kid. He's been in trouble or whatever, but he's on the right path. We're directing him in the right path. But I've learned so much from him. You take the blinders off for a minute. And the conversation is usually, I have a life experience that you don't have that I'm willing to share with you. But you need to share with me on how you got 350,000 views on that social media and how I can utilize my business to do it.
Yeah.
And now you're building that relationship with the younger generation, and you're able to really get out there and get those eyes on it, because the definition of insanity is what? Is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
And so if your marketing department's doing the same thing over and over again, you're expecting a different result, you're going to lose. You have to go where the trend is. You have to go with the younger generation to do so. And in trade, now you're able to share the experience, the 30 years of life experience that you have that they don't, with them, in order to avoid certain things and to grow in certain ways and give them the guidance.
Well, you need to go into your market world where you're trying to market your product or service, and that doesn't always necessarily mean younger people. But I'm with you. I mentor young folks in high schools and incubator programs and stuff, and it's amazing to see these young folks. And their eyes light up.
Mm-hmm.
They love trying to be this entrepreneur in that world, and how business works and how it gets built, and as many aspects as you can teach them in a short time frame.
Yep.
But like with any generation, there are those that are positive and good people you want to work with, and there are those that don't care.
See,
they're toxic.
But here's where the different approach of business comes to me, to what I see. And the beauty of what Drew has done with DCCS is he's no longer looking in the mirror. He doesn't even have a mirror, right? It's not about his business. It's how do I help Bill's business?
That's right.
Win. How do I help AAA Electronics win?
Yeah.
Right. Which is totally unique, I think. We've heard about it. The books up over your left shoulder, Bill, is Zig Ziglar. See you at the top, where the famous quote out there is help as many people get what they want, and you'll eventually get what you want. Right. We've lost focus on that. Right.
We did.
And businesses today is what I got to be on Facebook to hit everybody. No, Facebook is old people.
Right.
The Gen Zs and millennials don't do Facebook.
They're all in MySpace now, right?
Yeah. right. So I get
Is that a new one?
I get a kick out of LinkedIn right now, because so many business people on LinkedIn, I'm like, this isn't social. This LinkedIn is if you need to hire somebody.
LinkedIn's business.
How much business have you got? Hey, I saw that you made a post about your puppy. I want to do business with you.
Yeah, that's your Facebook.
LinkedIn's great when you want to talk to decision makers.
Yeah.
That's really, it's just a big list of people. Now, mind you, anybody and everybody that tags me on LinkedIn, it's usually I get, hey, Drew, what if I told you I can help your organization?
Yes,
blah, 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 blah. And I usually go back and be like, hey, Linda, how are the kids? I don't know this person.
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean? Like, usually when I have a conversation with people, it's just about life, just to learn who you are as a person. And then we can talk business. So do you want to start there, or I'll never accept you?
Well,
in my
so
network.
I
Right.
don't know
That's
how
just how
you
it is.
if you're how you're labeled on your LinkedIn, but mine I have a CEO title, and that just draws in a lot
Always,
of people,
always.
right? They just do that word search, and they hit me up. Hey, I can do this for you. I can do that for
Right.
you. I can do this and that, and I get from all over the world.
Sure.
And and it's amazing how I get text messages, emails,
Right.
messages.
I look at that the same way I look at resumes, right? Oh, this guy can shoot lasers out of his eyes, and he's got 3 friends on here that'll tell me the same thing. It doesn't mean anything to me. I
Right.
want to know you for you, and in order to do that, we need to have a conversation.
Right.
They don't do that. I mean, how many calls do you get? I get 3, 4, 5 calls a day on. Do you know about eligible for ERC?
Oh,
That's
that's
a
the big one,
right?
That's the
Because you're a
big one.
business owner, or
Took care of that
or
3 years ago. Thanks.
virtual assistant, is another big one.
Oh yeah.
Folks, where do you learn this stuff?
Right.
Who's teaching you? Because here's the thing about sales, as nobody has ever figured out how to train sales. It just because sales, it's not about the words you use; it's about relationships.
Mhm.
That's exactly.
And the best way to train somebody, I think, in sales is to let them be themselves.
Okay, but at the same time, I've got a lot of great relationships, and I do mortgages, and I know people with those great relationships who bought a house, and I didn't get the commission on.
Right.
Well,
Well,
right,
try be a financial advisor.
right,
You think any of your family and friends want to come to you? No.
right.
For number one, they don't want you to understand
Right.
how little they know about
But
money, or
But-
number two, they don't want you to know what their life is like.
Well, Kent, the hard thing about being a lender too is, and so I'm in the middle of selling some property,
Yeah.
right? Is I have family members that are realtors.
Yeah.
And I'm getting, how come you didn't use me? Well,
Yeah.
because Chris Pry is my realtor, and he's in my group, and he's a family friend to me.
Yep.
And so no matter what, somebody
oh yeah,
is always, so now
Well, it
you're
helps that
trapped
he's
in that
great at what he
22,
does,
right?
too.
But what I take a look at, right, in situations like that is I don't try to make an excuse. Like,
Sure.
you know what? I didn't do my job well. I didn't build a strong enough relationship
Mm.
down that path, right? Because I spin several plates too. Like I'll share with anybody, man. I'm 54. I'm working 3 full-time jobs, having the time of my life.
Yep.
Right. Never in my life did I think I'd be 54 working 3 full-time jobs, having the time of my life. But I am. But what I said is, I didn't unwrap that package enough for them in our relationship. You know what I'm saying? To become that trusted advisor, or that, and that's okay. But the different approach of the business is I didn't bring enough value to their life for them to go, yeah, I want to do business with you.
But you weren't developing these relationships in sole hope of them coming back to you when they needed.
No, that's
something
correct.
like you.
No, that's
Sometimes
correct.
you're
A lot of
too
times.
close. Sometimes you're too
you're
Yeah.
close.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people
Yeah.
might be like, I love Kent like a brother.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to know what's in my accounts. He
Sure.
doesn't need to
Yeah,
know
right,
what my
right.
life is about. I'd rather have a stranger that I can yell at
Right.
if something comes down
Sure.
to the gun wrong
Sure.
or something like that. Sometimes it's too close.
No, I totally
That's why
understand
it's, I can't stand it, especially in the financial advising where when you start a new job or something, they go, all right, go out and hit all your friends and family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I go, why would I want to prove to them I don't know what I'm doing?
Right.
Because they're going to tell everybody else. Because
Right,
that's
right.
what
Yeah,
I said when
right.
I came to the financial advising
That's
world.
great.
Bill's aunt's like, he tried upselling me some stuff.
Yeah, but I came from the Wall Street to Main Street, 2 different worlds. I thought it was an
But
easy
Bill, she's your wife,
crossover,
yeah.
but it wasn't.
No.
And
No,
they
no,
said, well, hit up your family and friends. And I go, well, why would I want to do that? I'm not ready for that
Right.
yet.
And I think we go back to last week's show with Tony, and define success. For
Yeah.
a lot of our businesses, we've accepted somebody else's definition of success. Is why I love DCCS and what they do.
Mhm.
They cover everything. I mean, they had to create a new thing, a new type of business listing for your business,
Mhm.
right? I don't know
Yep.
what I'm calling it. but
Yeah, we're considered our own industry now.
old industry. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
We're still the only one of our kind for some reason. And I'm, knock on wood, I'll take that.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So when we take a look at that, when I take a look at that, that's the world we live in now, right? Is how do I help other people, more than worrying about my bank account, and it'll come.
Well, we had Ray Ramona on here, right?
Yeah.
And Ray said he started making 10 times the amount of money
Yeah.
by just helping others.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that it would come back to him tenfold. And he never has that expectation.
Right.
But it works so well. And there is a group out there of people that are like that. And I remember meeting some of them in the group saying, where the hell you been all my life?
Right.
I've been searching for you. And obviously I've been looking in the wrong places.
Correct.
Or I've been doing things
You've been
incorrectly
doing
because
business the old way.
I thought this is the way you do it. And this is what I learned
Mhm.
and how to do it.
Well, let's talk about looking in the wrong places. Organizations, once again, into the community side of things. We'll talk about chambers real quick. Chambers are there to help the commerce, the businesses,
The
right?
local.
Yep.
But what they don't realize is those businesses are made up of people and people that live in the community.
Right.
You need to be doing things for the community in order to scale up the businesses.
Correct.
No, that doesn't make any sense. Okay. Well, I don't know. Are they filled with robots? How do you have to help the community in order to better their businesses? Because that's what they're made of. You never know when you have an event where it's the woman who's carrying her kid and has got a stroller that's coming to the event to look around because you made that event towards the community and not just businesses with booths and everything to where it's fun. And she goes, oh, yeah, my husband's the vice president of AT&T. I would like him to have a conversation with you. I think he would like to have a conversation. You never know
Right.
You don't
how
never
that
know.
money comes in.
Right.
And if you're able to help others and create a fun atmosphere for the community, you're doing several things right. You're helping people 17 different ways.
Right.
But that's not a mindset of the old school. And the old school that sit on boards are just that. They're just about themselves and they're very struck in their own ways. It has to benefit them
Oh, yeah.
first before
Absolutely.
anybody else.
What are you saying you can do for me?
Right.
So,
And what's it going to cost me?
I mean, we're good friends here, and we're at the bottom of the show. We have totally forgot. I mean, if people want to get in touch with you, Drew, to find out what you do, they can go to godccs.com.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. We have several different things on our website to where you can fill out a form if you have any interest, or feel free to email us at info@go. That's GODCCS, David Charlie Samuel.com. We'll have an agent reach out to you, have a quick conversation. It doesn't cost anything to have a conversation.
And do us a favor. You reach out there, just let them know you heard it on Innovative Strategies.
Yep.
And just so we can kind of track that and have some fun with it.
Right.
But I mean, that's a bit, Bill, you've been doing this show for a few years now. And your whole intent was to highlight and build and help get word out there of great people in their businesses and what they do.
Yep.
We're very, very appreciative of that. We've had some great people. Drew, you're one of them.
We showcase high level people that can help you build your business.
Yep.
But truly, and I've fallen in love with Drew's business model and the idea and the concept. And same thing, Bill, is like, man, where were you when I was 30?
Right. Yeah.
Shit.
Right. Right.
You're still young at 54, but
Right. You know what I'm saying? And
Ooh, I'm only 50. That means I'm the youngest one here.
Well,
Yes.
you've lived a different life.
You have lived a different life.
Damn it. Now it's all
that's why we just put your first.
I
name
can't
on.
see gray hair on either one of you. Though. I'll give you that.
Well, look at that. He looks good.
It's on my back.
But so the idea is, and we're out there on a lot of groups. We're out there on a lot of entrepreneurial groups and whatnot with this show. But if you've made it this far in the show, we really want to have that conversation with either Bill or Drew at godccs.com.
This show is like DCCS. We are free.
Yep.
We're just giving out advice to help people grow and be successful in their business.
Get an aha moment.
That's what the show is all about.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal. We just bring people in here that are high level, can help you grow your business and help you be successful.
And just because it comes to mind, Kent, if somebody wants to be on Bill's show, Where do they reach out to?
Yeah, you could reach out to info@216thenet.com. That's info, INFO, at 216thenet.com. Or just go to 216thenet@gmail.com. Put in innovative strategies or Bill's name, and our people will reach out and connect you with Bill, and we'll get you going.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks. Hey, listen, we got to run. Come back 3:00. We've got innovative strategies. No, this is innovative strategy. At 3:00, we got In the Know with Steph and Joe.
It must be nice to drink this early in the day.
You're right. Yeah. That's why we can't have nice things. But In the Know with Steph and Joe, talking about when entrepreneurs' confidence is shaken. How do you recover? Right. Really good show.
I'll be here for that one.
Yeah, we'll see you then, folks. Until then, thanks for getting caught in the net. And remember, be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.